Philadelphia was designed to be simple, a clean, straight grid meant to make life easier. But 300 years later, that once efficient layout is starting to crack under pressure. Traffic crawls through outdated roads, bridges need serious work, and the transit system is staring down a $200 million budget gap. Instead of building from scratch, the city is trying to patch things up, testing new bus lanes, rebuilding crumbling overpasses, and even capping highways with public parks. But with SEPTA warning of major cuts, it's fair to ask, is any of this enough to keep the city moving? We went to Philly to see the changes firsthand, and to figure out if the solutions on the table are just buying time or actually fixing the problem. When William Penn first surveyed the banks of the Delaware River in 1682, he was upending every European notion of what a city should look like. This was translated into a 2 by 1 mile rectangle, bisected by streets laid out with almost mathematical precision. Broad and Market streets were oversized at 100 feet wide, room enough for processions, horse traffic, and fire breaks, while the riverfront promenade stretched 60 feet, and every other street settled into a comfortable 50-foot width. In an era when London's alleys were so cramped that entire blocks could go up in flames, Philadelphia was conceived as a breathable refuge. Single-family homes recessed in the center of their lots, ringed with gardens. Public squares doubled as communal parks, and a street network that was, in Penn's own words, healthy and wholesome. By the late 1680s, the east-west avenues bore the names of trees, like vines, sassafras, and mulberry, while the north-south passages simply counted up from Front Street. The effect was both elegant and egalitarian. No aristocratic boulevards here, just a clear, legible grid that treated every plot and every resident with the same geometric fairness. William Penn's original grid still defines the heart of Center City. City Hall anchors the intersection of Broad and Market, serving as the city's 0 point, a precise system where the 800 block of 8th Street is exactly 8 blocks from the Delaware River. But while that structure once promised clarity and order, today Philadelphia is shaped just as much by its traffic as its topography. Venture beyond Penn's rectangle, and the layout starts to fray. In the late 19th century, the Benjamin Franklin Parkway sliced diagonally through the grid, modeled after Paris's Champs-Élysées, and reoriented parts of the city around car-friendly boulevards and civic landmarks. The Schuylkill and Delaware rivers warped the grid, forcing detours, bridges, and abrupt jogs in the road. By the mid-20th century, these distortions became more dramatic. Interstates like I-95 and I-76 were pushed straight through dense neighborhoods, splitting the grids with ramps, flyovers, and traffic funnels that still clog daily commutes. Rail lines like the Market Frankfurt L now hover around city streets, adding another layer of motion. What we're left with is a grid that's no longer just a map. It's a maze that's shaped by centuries of adaptation, growth, and mounting pressure from vehicles. The tension between Penn's original vision and the city's lived reality is more visible than ever, especially in the daily stop and go of urban traffic. And it's this struggle between historical order and modern overload that Philadelphia is now trying to solve, one small fix at a time. But the question is, will it work? One of Philadelphia's most ambitious congestion-busting efforts takes place just north of the downtown area. It's known as the Route for Change program, and it's occurring along Roosevelt Boulevard, a chaotic 14-mile stretch notorious for frequent crashes and stop-and-go traffic. In Phase 1, by 2026, the city will install curbside business access and transit lanes to keep buses moving, rebuild the most dangerous intersections, and expand automated speed camera enforcement. Phase 2 adds pedestrian islands, curb extensions, protected bike lanes, and dedicated bus lanes, all framed by landscape medians to calm traffic. And in Phase 3, and probably the most transformative, planners will study radical options, capping parts of the expressway, transforming it into a slower street-level boulevard, or even installing bus rapid transit, light rail, or subway service by 2040. But while this will increase safety and help unclog some of northern Philly's traffic, it might not do much to help the city. On the west side of Center City, there's the Market Street Bridges Rehab Project. It's a $150 million redesign of one of the most critical east-west corridors. By replacing outdated bridge spans over the Schuylkill, Amtrak, I-76, and CSX lines, and reconfiguring lanes to include wider turning pockets, this project aims to smooth traffic flow, reduce bottlenecks, and improve safety for drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians alike. Further upstream, there's PennDOT's $355 million I-95 northern rebuild. This will widen the northbound lanes in northeast Philadelphia, replace 3 structurally deficient bridges, and realign local ramps. And this theoretically, at least for the short term and before induced demand takes over, should relieve pressure on not just I-95, but the rest of the interstate system throughout the area. On top of all this, SEPTA is actively implementing a comprehensive redesign of the bus network, being referred to as Bus Revolution. This is meant to make bus service more accessible to an estimated 1.1 million additional people within a 10-mile walk. Taking a slightly different approach to try and unlock gridlocked waterfront access, the city is actively building a $329 million cap over I-95 at Penn's Landing, decking the highway from Front Street to the river with parks, a pavilion, and a pedestrian bridge, transforming a traffic trench into a seamless civic space. A similar vision, the Chinatown Stitch, proposes capping 3 blocks of Interstate 676 to reunite and revitalize Philadelphia's Chinatown with community-driven open space and development. But being honest, neither of these projects will help decrease traffic, and projections show these only increasing congestion. Each of the planned interventions I've mentioned tackles congestion in a different way, whether by smoothing bus operations, unclogging key arteries, or reclaiming highway right-of-way. Yet, for all their promise, many Philadelphians see the core challenge as the sheer volume of cars on I-76, I-95, and other major roads, and wonder whether any of these projects will even make an impact in easing the city's daily gridlock. To reduce congestion, cities invest in transportation infrastructure. That means wider roads in some cases, but past projects typically show that this leads to induced demand, where more people will use the road after the expansion. And this is obviously the point, but it provides only a short-term solution to traffic, as the gridlock typically returns a few years later. So for many people, easing congestion means expanding public transit. Cities like Seattle and New York are pushing forward with new rail lines, dedicated bus lanes, and other transit upgrades, even as ridership remains below pre-2020 levels. The goal isn't to turn a profit, it's to make cities function more efficiently. Transit reduces traffic, expands access, and supports local economy, even if it doesn't pay for itself directly. It can be a tough pill to swallow for someone like myself who believes in trying to optimize systems to make money. But after all, neither roads nor sidewalks turn a profit, but they're still essential. This makes the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, or SEPTA's, current situation all the more urgent. As of mid-2025, the agency faces a $213 million operating shortfall. Without new state funding, it plans to eliminate 50 bus routes, suspend 5 regional rail lanes, and shut down all subway service at 9 p.m. The cuts are projected to reduce ridership by 40% and, by SEPTA's own estimates, cost the region over 70,000 jobs. And this would obviously have a terribly negative effect on traffic. Calls to expand transit in Philadelphia, especially rail, are growing. But even if the will is there, the path forward is anything but easy. Major capital projects cost billions and take years to complete. And with SEPTA already struggling to maintain its current network, the idea of expansion raises obvious questions about feasibility. Space is another constraint. Building new lines in a dense, built-out city like Philadelphia requires carving out right-of-way, relocating infrastructure, and navigating neighborhood concerns, whether about cost, construction disruption, or displacement. Then there's the coordination problem. SEPTA operates the system, but many corridors are controlled by other agencies, including Amtrak and PennDOT. That means that every project requires extensive negotiation and alignment across multiple stakeholders. But if not rail, then what's the answer? There seems to be a consensus with Philadelphians that the city needs to come up with more ambitious and bold plans to try and reduce the amount of traffic. Philadelphia's layout proves that urban design is never truly finished. Penn's 1682 grid gave the city its foundation, but today's congestion, aging infrastructure, and growing demand for public transit call for a new chapter. Through bus lanes and bridge rehabs, the city is making progress, but maybe not enough. I would be interested to hear what people think should be done, so please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. At Buildcore, we're building America, one story at a time. We cover some of the most impressive and headline-grabbing projects and topics across this great country, and with your help, the channel has grown to over 45,000 subscribers and reached over 10 million people. With that being said, thank you, and I'll see you next time.